Daniel. Can you hear me?
Yes, all okay. Hi, Daniel.
Brilliant. Good to see you, Daniel. Can you just give us team news, first of all, for the game against Watford?
Yes, quick turnaround. So we'll have to make some late decisions there, because after game is always like a few players are struggling with some like muscle injuries or some hits or whatever. So Kenny McLean rolled his ankle a little bit. We have to wait. How he will be able to recover in order to be available for tomorrow. So little question mark behind him. Also, Alex Sette's got some problems with his knee. I think they both should be fine, but at least there are some question marks. Todd Cantwell is not available, so he's mooning about a few hamstring problems. Was also during the game. I think it happened in the first situation. He was touching his hamstring a few times, and he still doesn't feel comfortable. So for that, he's not available for tomorrow. And then we have our long-term injuries who are out for the whole season. But we've mentioned them so often, so in general. So that are news.
We're with Cantwell. He misses the next game. Do you foresee him being available for the one after that, given just such a tight turnaround?
Yes, I hope that he will be available then. So perhaps this just the 2 days were not for him to recover. So we scanned him. It doesn't seem too bad. So but he doesn't feel 100% comfortable, and for that he's not available for tomorrow. But he could be a possible return then for the next home game.
Daniel, after the Brighton game, in your post-match interview, you seem to accept the inevitability of relegation this season. A few days on, did you still feel the same?
Well, I said we have not the right in order to speak about, okay, come on, we will win all the last 5 games. They're not after losing the last 4 games and then missed also a big chance against Brighton. I think it's then not the time to be there with fighting messages. So in this moment, I think you have to be humble and self-critical, and also to be realistic. And we are still realistic right now. So we are not naive. After 33 games, we were able to get 5 wins, and probably in terms of points, we would need to win 5 out of the last 5 games. So, and of course, as long as this is possible, we will keep going. And it's anyhow also a pretty special and unique season. And it seems like all the teams at the bottom are not capable to win any points. So for that, could really be that perhaps even 3 or 4 wins. So perhaps are not. But again, so we are in a situation where we have lost our last 5 games in the league, and then I think it's not up to us to speak, okay, we will win the next 5. It's more like to concentrate on the next task, and to stay humble. So for us, it's important, that we show our pride, that we invest a lot, that we are there with good performances, and of course, and to win as many points as possible. And then we see in the end. So you got the feeling. So during this season, anyhow, everything is a bit special and unique, and it's always the same. As long as everything is possible at least in the theoretical way, we'll definitely keep going, and we keep fighting. That's definitely for sure.
Has it been difficult to lift the players this week, and how hard have you found it being a manager of Norwich City in this period? Has it been your toughest time?
No, if I'm honest, I was totally prepared for this tough time. So I spoke from the first day after our promotion championship that we have perhaps a 5% chance for survival. So that means in 19 of 20 cases, in our circumstances, with our opportunities, with still having to pay for some sins in the past, with not being able to invest in the quality of the group, we would relegate. We have a bunch of lads, just young lads or lads who are even the older lads who have never played on this level. So for that, of course, you're always hoping for this 5% chance to be there with another miracle, and it is possible when you are there with a perfect start, when the confidence is growing, when you're not hit by injuries, when you have also a bit of game luck, when you have also a bit of luck in terms of injured key players, then everything is possible, even on this level. And sadly, we have to accept that probably no other club was hit that much by an injury curse like we were. And then, of course, it was clear that for us it was difficult. To be honest, so it's quite normal then when you speak about this pretty realistic after promotion in all the aphorism, no one wants to hear this, and everyone thinks, yeah, okay, but we were so dominant on championship level, we'll be all right. So it's good to be there with a bit understatement. No, it was just a realistic view, and I was totally prepared. And then it's always the same, though. It's more like then there's always a bit criticism about anyhow the commitment or the desire sometimes of the players, or even our coaching staff or the head coach who's the wrong starting lineup or the wrong tactics. I was totally prepared. So for that, it's not a surprise for me. Of course, I would have preferred to be there, to use our 5% chance, and that everything goes in our favor, and that we can work another miracle after promotion last season. But if I'm honest, I was totally prepared that, and also a bit expectant that it could definitely be and go into this way. That doesn't take anything away that it's always difficult when you are there with setbacks and disappointing results, that you have to lift up the players, because they were also hoping even more than me, because I'm in a different age and a bit more experienced. And when you're young and full of energy and full of self-confidence, you think you can save the world all alone. So of course they are disappointed, and you need to lift them up. But I was totally prepared. So for me, it's not something I didn't expect, but it doesn't take anything away that, of course, it's difficult to boost the players up, to lift them. But that's my job at the moment. And not that unbelievably easy in this moments, but that's what I have to do.
Also, after the Brighton game, you said that next season your squad of players might look very different to what it looks like this season. Now, as much as you'd like the likes of Cantwell, Godfrey, Aarons to stay at Norwich, could you stand and would you stand in their way if they got an opportunity at a bigger club?
I'm not sure if there was a quote for me that I said the group of players will look much different. So
you intimated that the squad could look different next season.
Yes, of course, it's quite normal. So it's always like a few players will leave and a few players will come. We had already also, of course, some younger players that we brought in. A few loan players will come back. A few loan players of us will have to leave. So it's quite normal. So the squad won't look the same. But I'm not sure if there's such a big new beginning. So in my focus, and that's what I said also after the game, my focus is at the moment not on the new season. So it's not like we give up and we'll try right now or give some gifts away in order to see some players already for the next season. For us, it's just important. We want to be as successful as possible with a as strong as possible finish during this season, and then we will see what will happen over the summer. But if I'm honest, I'm not so tempted to look too far ahead. I'm more concentrated on here and right now, and I'm happy to work with the players that are there, and that's my focus.
Last couple from me, Daniel, and it's more generic about Project Restart. We've seen a new thing come in with the drinks breaks, and obviously given the time of year that you're playing. But are you a fan of those drinks breaks, or do you feel that they're being used now for like tactics, almost like a timeout?
In general, for a coach, it's always all right when you have perhaps the players together for 1 minute to give some advice. That's definitely, and it helps. But because it's for all the other coaches the same, it's not an advantage, not at all. It's more the other way around. So I got the feeling. So sometimes the linesmen and referees are unbelievably strict with the lower teams. Head coach couldn't be on the pitch, and with the bigger teams, anyhow, they seem to be a bit more relaxed in order to give permission in these topics. But also with a drink break. So I think it makes sense, perhaps in the summer when it's unbelievably hard to do this because of the health of the players, and perhaps, after the restart, the first 1 or 2 games when you have to get used to play again in pretty hot conditions, all okay. We just have to make sure it's not like the first step we open the door that we play further on right now in 4 quarters and just break for advertisement or something like this. But this will probably come anyway, so it's not so much my topic. So I'm not a big fan of this drinks breaks if I'm honest. But we adapt to the rules, and for me, it's also not such a big topic.
Well, what do you mean by giving the bigger teams the advantage?
No, the permission. So sometimes I got the feeling. So it's more like, yeah, you are promoted as from the championship, and then the linesmen are a bit more brave to be strict. Yeah, perhaps with a coach who is just comes from the championship. Then 3 or 4 times I get the hint. So I have to stay in my coaching zone or whatever. And when I watch some other teams, so. There are some coaches with higher reputation, so they're in the middle of the pitch and in the middle circle sometimes and give their advices. And then linesmen are not that brave to give some hints, but that's also totally okay. I think that's quite normal. Yeah? When you have reached a lot and in your coaching career, then it's also perhaps allowed to do a bit more than perhaps a coach who is coming just from the championship or whatever. So I'm not complaining about this. I'm quite relaxed about this topic. It's just sometimes a bit funny to see, and then it's more like always when I get the hint, I was like, listen, the game yesterday there were two pretty experienced coach. They were in the middle circle, and please stay in your coaching zone. I will do this. So
and that's happened to you on 3 or 4 occasions, has it?
Yeah, but quite relaxed. So I'm not mooning anyhow. It's within the rules and everything's okay.
Just finally, another issue that's come through as well is the 5 substitutions. Now, John McGinn of Aston Villa yesterday says that it works in favour of the bigger teams with the bigger squads with the better substitutes. Where do you stand on that? Do you think that's proved to be a disadvantage for Norwich and the teams around you, the 5 subs rule?
I would judge it a bit in the same way, like with the drink breaks. Of course, it's better for me as a coach to have the possibility of 5 substitutions. I can influence the game earlier. So quite often, otherwise, because in the last 10 minutes there is sometimes an injury or an exhausted player or some cramps, you have to save 1 or 2 substitutes for the last 10 minutes sometimes. And right now you can influence the game even earlier. And of course this helps. And also like in terms of man management, to keep everyone in the group happy and also to be allowed to travel with more players, to give more players game time. It helps a lot. On the other hand, it's the same for the other clubs. And that means, in this terms, as McGinn is totally spot on. Of course, it's more an advantage for the bigger clubs because they have more quality and bigger groups, and they can substitute perhaps 4 or 5 top class players and bring 4 or 5 top class players in. So it's of course an advantage, a bit like also like the games behind closed doors. When the emotions are out, then it goes a bit in the favor of the teams who have more individual quality. It's quite normal, but this is a new normality at the moment, and we have to accept this. And it's for all teams the same. And I'm not complaining about this. It's just a fact that it favors, of course, the bigger teams. But no complaints from our side. I think at the moment we have to accept this, and I'm quite relaxed.
Daniel, thanks for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Danish.
Dan, I'll hang on, and then.
Yes, please.
Fine.
Okay, bringing in Joe from PLP. It's at this point as well, we ask if you wish to ask a question after Joe, please do raise a hand and we can bring you into the room after Joe.
Hi, Daniel. Just one more on the game tomorrow. Obviously, Watford have only picked up 1 point in this. What kind of message will you be giving to your players ahead of the game, and what do you want to see from them?
Yeah, first of all, we want to be there with a good performance. I think at the moment it's not to be too concerned about the table or to dream about something extraordinary with 5 wins or whatever, but more just to focus on this game, because at this moment the games are coming thick and fast. And you have to make sure that you're mentally again ready, especially after such a disappointing result against Brighton. So it's important that we are again there pretty focused, and we know it's of course more or less like the pressure is even a bit more on Watford, because everyone expects us right now to relegate, and of course Watford against us more like this side who in the eyes of 99% of all human beings who would think we would relegate, they need to win their home game, and the pressure is a bit on them. But we want to make it as difficult as possible for them to beat us, and we want to show some resilience. And for that, I want our players to be unbelievably focused.
Okay, thank you. That's all for me.
Good.
Thanks, Joe. Okay, Tom Williams from the BBC.
Daniel. Hi, Daniel. Can you hear and see me?
Yes, Tom. All okay.
Great stuff. I should probably ask you what you should think about cricket. If you stop for lunch and tea and a cup of tea and a slice of cake, I mean, that makes it to a whole different level. But anyway, we'll leave that for another occasion. We saw the shots of your players at full time, Daniel, who looked very dejected, didn't they, on Saturday? Were they all sort of resigned, and did they feel the game was up following that Brighton defeat?
Yes, of course, we were all disappointed because we knew it was, let's be honest, it was more or less like the mentioned after the game was more or less our last chance to be back in the mix with a good result. And we are all not naive. We can read the table and know what this result, this loss means for our ambitions, for our survival hopes. And for that we were all, of course, disappointed. Yeah, I wouldn't interpret too much if some players show this a bit in public, or some players go straight away into the dressing room and want to be on their own. So I'm not a big believer, if I'm honest, in this big pictures and whatever, and statements in public and over-interpreting this or whatever. But of course, all the players, all the staff members, our whole coaching staff, everyone who was connected with us was, of course, disappointed with the outcome, with the loss, definitely.
Do the players feel, and do you feel, Norwich have underachieved?
No, but like I mentioned before, so I have said from the first day of the season that our chances to stay in this league is perhaps 5%. So we need another miracle. So I was, of course, totally prepared that this, in our circumstances, with our possibilities, a group of young players and players who have never played on this level, we are the favorite for position 20. I've said this, I think, in the first press conference after promotion, and this was always my realistic view. It doesn't take anything away that when you have then to face a brutal reality, that it's disappointing, because you're always hoping for the best and always hoping for another miracle and another sensation. And of course, if everything comes together, of course, even on this level, you have a chance. And in these moments when you have to accept the loss, and of course, you're thinking also a bit about how much bad luck we had in terms of injuries and how the season develops, and some key points. Or when I think about games, for example, our away game at Aston Villa, where we were totally the better side and dominating the game, or even the home game against Watford was more or less the same. These were two key games anyhow, where we were much a better side, and we lost both games anyhow. No one could explain why. If we would have been able to win just these two games, we would be there with 6 points more, and our biggest opponents would be there with 3 points less. So that would leave us in a totally different situation. So it shows that everything is pretty close together, and it's still also anyhow possible to be successful on this level. And for that, you are, of course, disappointed, but doesn't take anything away when you go a step back and judge it in an objective and realistic way, that you have to say, okay, this is what we probably had to accept, and it's more or less like a realistic achievement, but that doesn't mean that we are not disappointed with having just a realistic achievement. So we wanted something extraordinary, and for that, of course, and in such a moment, you are unbelievably disappointed.
You and this set of players have had some wonderful times together. If, as now seems likely, you do go down, how great a challenge is it for you to lead this side to bounce back?
Yes, of course, but it's also important to stick together and to show unity and togetherness and spirit. Also in the tough times. So it's even easy to show it in the times when everything goes in your favor, and even the players who are not playing. Sometimes when we're winning, it's more like, okay, we will all benefit from it. And in the tough times, when there are some setbacks, some disappointing results, then it's even more difficult to show unity. But this is exactly what we have to do when we want to bounce back. And it's more like in this times, then you show the real character and the real attitude. And this is also the message I give to my players, and I would say to all the people who are connected here with Norwich City, and also like to our staff. So it's important to stick together in these times, to accept, okay, the sun is not always shining, and we have to keep going and have to go through and work even harder in order to bounce back. So it's never easy. So I know this already right now, but that's more or less the plan also for the next weeks, for the next games, but then also for the next months and the next tasks in the future, without any doubt.
Okay, thanks, Daniel. Thanks for your time. Good luck tomorrow night. Hopefully those efforts on goal, unlike against Brighton and Arsenal, flick on the inside of the post and go in rather than the outside of the post and go out, eh? Appreciate that.
We'll take this.
Thanks, Tom.
Cheers.
Okay, James from Talk Sports.
Hi, Daniel.
James, hi.
Daniel, are you concerned that there'll be any mental scars from this season, both for yourself and for the playing squad? Because I guess the last 4 games have been tough to take after the lockdown period, where the players were talking to TalkSport and said they felt we had an opportunity of getting out of this trouble, but unfortunately it's just not gone that way so far.
Well, it's always difficult. So when you have some setbacks from to stay mentally strong and mentally prepared, and always for the next task. And I was prepared, and of course it's always easier when the sun is shining. Everyone is praising you instead of being criticized. We're all human beings. That's quite normal. But meanwhile, that long in business and have seen everything. So the really good times and bad times, anyhow. So I'm prepared. So and of course it's then even a bit more difficult to keep going during these times. But that's our job. And for me, it's I wouldn't say relaxed, but I'm not concerned at all. I was totally prepared. For the young lads, it's not that easy, and especially for some of them, it's more like from the first day with us. We just knew one direction. So it's more like they were praised, successful. They went from win to win, from one highland after another. And it's more like for several of these lads, the first time in their career that there are some disappointments and also some criticism, and that's always difficult to handle. But it's also like we have experienced players, we have our coaching staff, we have myself, we have the whole club in order also to be there and to back them in that period, because out of this experience you learn the most also for your career, and every player has to go also through different difficult times, and also through some setbacks, and that's quite normal, and that's a part of the journey, and also to grow as a player and to grow as a human being, and this is also like it's never nice to go through the spirits, but also important to have the spirits in order to grow as a human being, but also as a football player.
How much has this season taken out of you personally? Because you've always been very consistent in the media. The way you've been, the way you were behaving after you beat Man City has been exactly the same as after the defeat. You seem to have remained quite level-headed, but has it been very difficult to deal with the setbacks this season, even though, as you say, you did expect this could potentially happen?
Well, believe me, so the inner flame is also burning in myself, but no player wants to have a head coach who is dancing on the table after a win and then unbelievably devastated and crying after a loss. So I think it's a part of my job to not to be too emotional and to be too much addicted and affected by any public views or emotions. So it's more like it's important to be there with a calm leadership and a balanced leadership, and that's one of my tasks in terms of leading this club, in terms of leading these players, and especially leading a group of so many unexperienced players. So I think it's important that I'm there with consistency. Believe me, this this job is always drying and takes energy out of you, and it's always unbelievably difficult, especially in terms of man management, in terms of handling the pressure, and it costs lots of energy. So even the last season, so when we were there, was success after success and great wins, and everyone praised us. It takes a lot of energy, and when you have a tough season like we have this season, it's even more drying and more exhausting. But that's what you have to handle. So it's quite normal, and then important. Then when there is a break, and probably in this summer it will be a short break, that you recover and refuel then your energy. And I have experienced this meanwhile since more than a decade as a coach, and for that it's still a long season, and this is unbelievable, special long season with so many unique and new challenges, also with this COVID situation, with playing behind closed doors, and I think so many topics that are new for all of us. It's of course demanding and sucks also energy out of you, but we all have to handle this, and it's part of our job. And like I said before, so I think we are all blessed and can feel unbelievable thankful and grateful that we are allowed to work in this great business. So for that, no complaints at all. So we just can't take just the positives and just when the sun is shining. So you also have to work a bit and to go further on with the demands, and that's what I'm doing.
Just finally from me, Daniel, how difficult is it going to be to halt this losing run and prevent it from going into next season if you were to slip into the Championship? Because we've seen Huddersfield have struggled this season, Stoke towards the bottom of the table as well. And I guess on the flip side, how important is it to try and get some momentum from these last 5 games, which means the players and the whole squad and the whole club have a bit of positivity heading into next season? Because as you said, it's going to be such a short break between the 2 seasons.
Well, in general, it's important to be there with good performances and the best possible results in the last 5 games. So, like you said, so for the momentum, definitely, but also like as long as in the theoretical way everything's possible, we keep going, and even if it's unlikely for us right now in our situation to stay in this league, I think it's important to keep fighting to the end and to avoid relegation as long as possible. That's what you have to do. So, and this is also like the picture I try to paint in the head of my players. So you never know. This season is so special. Yeah, perhaps another miracle works anyhow, and it's as long as you can win the last 5 games, you have to try to do it, and that's what we're trying to do. So first of all, so not just for the next season, but also for our season right now, and for the pride of the yellow shirt, we keep going, and that it's a big challenge and a big task then to rebuild. And if we really have to relegate on Championship level, I think it's not a secret. So each and every club after relegation is struggling. But I also got the feeling the basement situation for this club is great. So it's more like we are pretty much ourselves. So we have values, we have principles, we have a clear philosophy as a club, and this gives us also leadership in what we have to do. So that doesn't mean that it will be easy next season, wherever we are. If it's still a miracle and we stay in the Premier League, or if it's the Championship. So it will be a tough next season without any doubt. And especially the start will be affected also also from this season a bit. So that's definitely for sure. But I'm not tempted to look too far ahead right now. I want to concentrate really on a top finish in the last five games, and that's my focus at the moment.
Thank you, Daniel. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, James. Okay, Mark W.
Hi, good afternoon.
Mark, hello. We can't see you, Mark. Are you able to start your camera?
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. Just a quick one from me, Daniel. You talk of needing miracles, but another German manager very recently proved that miracles do happen in the Premier League.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was a miracle to win the title with Liverpool, because they have it's a huge club and they have fantastic players, but it doesn't take anything away that Jürgen has done an unbelievable job, and you can't praise him enough without any doubt. And I think to win the title with Liverpool is outstanding, and you can't praise him enough for that.
I was thinking, Daniel, at the other end a couple of seasons ago when David Wagner kept Huddersfield up.
That's right. He was capable to do this, and fantastic job, and fantastic work of David without any doubt. And it doesn't take anything away that the second season was also unbelievably difficult, and I think he has done a fantastic job in his first season. I think you can't compare our two clubs because they're different clubs, also with a different background. Also with the different situation after promotion. I think it doesn't take anything away that David has done a fantastic job, and I'm full of praise. But I think when you compare how much they spent after promotion and you compare how much we spent, there's a big difference. And I think he had definitely more experienced Premier League player. But it doesn't take anything away that David has done a fantastic job by achieving promotion with Huddersfield, by being able to stay in the league for the first season. Right now they're also struggling anyhow. And it's not that long ago, but right now they are fighting in order to be allowed to stay in the championship. So that says a lot about how difficult it is also like to stick to your principles, to stay there with the philosophy. And I think that's also important that you instill in the club special values and special philosophy and special principle in order to make sure that when you have to go down from the Premier League, and this can always happen to a club after promotion the first or in the second year, that you then go back also in a position full of strength. And that's also important. That's what we're trying to implement. Of course, we would prefer to work another miracle to stay in this league already in this season. But if not, then also the focus is hopefully to return as quick as possible.
Thank you. Best of luck.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, Dave Freezer. Dave, you're on mute, Dave.
There we go. That's better. Hi, Daniel. Good to see you. Can I just check in on Mario Vrancic's fitness? Obviously, a very popular player with the fans after last season, but he hasn't started a game since the restart. Is he doing okay?
Yes, of course. He was involved in all our last 5 league games. Was in all 5 games on the pitch, and nothing happened after the last 2 games. He's available. Yes.
Okay, you've obviously had quite a few home games. Arsenal was the first away game. How did you find it in terms of the sort of process of travelling, of going to a different stadium in this sort of new normal, as you said earlier?
Yeah, it's still a bit strange. Also, like, you're not allowed to use the dressing room. So, for example, it was at Arsenal. We had to separate the players and the staff. So we're not allowed to be together in one dressing room. We have to separate into I don't know, 6 rooms or something like this. So it still feels a bit strange, and still is difficult, to create then this feeling of togetherness and unity. But that's what all clubs have to handle. So it's not a disadvantage for us. So it's for all the same, and for all the clubs, we have to accept this new normality, and that's what we do.
In terms of Watford, then, they, of course, got that win over Liverpool, which shows what they're capable of. And I was just looking at some quotes from Decore, their midfielder, who I know they lost 3-0 at Chelsea, but he seemed to be suggesting they were quite pleased with how they played.
Yes, in general, so you got the feeling. So they look pretty solid and pretty compact, and it's a physical side, the unbelievable experience side. So they have many experienced player on this level, and physical players. It's always a side who plays full of aggressiveness and intensity and commitment, and also unity and compactness. And once they defend pretty deep, it's difficult to create chances against them. And they are also struggling. So we don't have to speak about it. It's not like they were a side who win the title in the Premier League right now. So they are also struggling to get the right results. But it's meanwhile on this level a pretty experienced club on this level with a very experienced head coach. So for that, we are respectful without any doubt, and we know that for them it's of course more like they have a home game against the side who's sitting on position 20 in the league. Yeah, of course they want to win this game and perhaps need to win this game in order to make sure that they achieve their targets and their goals. And for that we are respectful. We know it's a huge task, but nevertheless we want to be there with a good performance and want to make their life as difficult as possible.
I think it's just 5 shots on target, isn't it, in the game since we restarted the season. Does that just come down to confidence, or can you quite literally say, come on, lads, we need to try and shoot a bit more when we get a sight of goal?
Yeah, both. First of all, it's let's be honest. So it's for us, it's not that easy to create as many chances as Man City, for example, who are dominating the game. So we have also to make sure that against the ball we are unbelievably solid and to make the life also for the opponent difficult. And it's also like we speak about that. It's also. Come on, let's be more brave in order to not to play too complicated in front of the opponent's box, and let's be there with shots and also with more confidence. Yeah, sometimes with statistics. For example, the header of Adam Ida against the post doesn't count as a shot on goal, or also Ben Godfrey's shot on the post doesn't count as a shot on goal, or when Onel Hernandez in the last home game hits the post, so it doesn't count. Or for example, when Emi Buendia is in 1-against-1 situation, like in the last home game, it didn't finish. It doesn't count as a shot on goal. So you can't always just take the shots on goal in terms of is it a chance or not? Sometimes like that. But I also got the feeling for example, when I compare our game with Brighton, let's be honest, so they had more or less just this one chance and they were able to score. And when I compare our situation in the first half, we had 6 or 7 situations where we finished, but we were not able to be there with a finish on goal anyhow. So to be more focused and more precise and more greedy, to be then also that convinced that we score in this situation, to bring the ball on the goal, to give us at least a chance to score. This also a bit left, and also a bit topic then that we need to add this quality in order to score more goals, in order to win then more games. That's also for sure.
Quite quickly after the game, there was a story in a national newspaper linking Ben Godfrey with a couple of clubs in Germany. We've seen quite a lot of that in the last sort of 18 months, haven't we? Players being linked with big clubs. I guess we might see more in the months to come. But do you feel like that's distracted any of the young lads at all, or do you feel like they've managed to deal with that sort of attention?
No, I've not. I've not the feeling that it took their focus away, especially not with Ben. So, and if I'm honest, it's also like something that they have to learn to deal with because it's quite normal. So when you are in the spotlight and you are there with good performances, then you're always linked. It's the same for players, for coaches, for staff members, for sporting directors, for coaching members. It's always the same, and it's important that you stay focused and are not overexcited. And the reality is more like there are rumors around Ben Godfrey and Max Aarons and Todd Cantwell and Jamal Lewis and Emi Buendia, but the reality is they are our players, and for that nothing has happened. So since 18 months, I live more or less with all the speculations, and I wouldn't pay too much attention on it. Of course, I'm quite normal, though. We have many young players, and it's also a sign of our way that we do something right especially with the developing of the young players who have developed unbelievably good. And also in the past, when I think about players like James Maddison or Angus Gunn or the Murphy twins, anyhow. So it's a part of our way. We want to develop young players, and when they develop even a bit quicker than the club, and there is a bigger club who wants to sign them, that's more or less a sign of that we do something right. But the reality is they are our players, and we have the good thing is that we didn't invest that much money in terms of spending money for for high quality players in the summer is right now we are in a situation that we are financially absolutely solid and don't have any pressure at all to sell or something like this. For that, I'm quite relaxed.
Thanks, Daniel. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, Michael Bailey from The Athletic.
There we go. Hope you can hear me. Hello. Afternoon, Daniel.
Hi.
Hello. Just a couple from me. And just on that first point, I guess the thing about Brighton's goal on Saturday was it kind of came in a transition phase, didn't it, where there was a lot more space. And has that been something that you maybe would have wished to have created more of, those sort of transition opportunities to score goals this season, rather than maybe being too patient almost at times?
Yes, of course, but in order to have more space also for your transition anyhow, you need to go more often in lead. So this always helps, and it also helps when you can concentrate on sitting back in being absolutely solid. And when I judge, for example, Brighton, they started more or less with a 4-man formation, more or less like all centre-back types and unbelievably solid in terms of defending. And my gut feeling was they finished the game more or less like with 6 centre-backs on the pitch. It was also difficult for us to do this because most of the season we just had 1 or 2 centre-backs available, and we had to make sure and to invest a lot also in terms of our setup to be defensively solid in order to protect our last row, because we had many problems in individual and personal terms. In general, I also got the feeling so we have controlled the counterattacks of Brighton quite well. It was just our mistake in the first half when we invited them to a counterattack. And then this side, then they have also the quality with players up front, Mopai, Connolly, top counter-attacking strikers. Anyhow, let's be honest, they had one chance and they finished this one chance, unbelievably precise and unbelievably clinical. Also got the feeling we have missed also a few counter-attacking chances for us. But also like actually it's a strength of us. When I think about the goal we scored at Leicester, for example, or at Everton, anyhow. So it's of course I would have preferred to create even more. It's more difficult to create chances against Brighton side who's sitting deep, who's defending unbelievably solid then in comparison to be perhaps in lead against them and to have then the possibility to counter. It would have helped a lot if we would have relied ourselves in the first 20 minutes to go in lead. And I think the story of the game would have been completely different, yes.
And I suppose is it quite difficult that you're maybe trying to alter, or you're trying to improve the goal scoring situation, of course, I'm sure, but the actual then doing it on the pitch in these circumstances is probably quite difficult, because you almost need a spark out there for it to happen, I suppose.
Yes, that's right. Of course, it's difficult. Let's be honest. So first of all, we are not like Man City, who is dominating the games, who is creating chance after chance. So it's also we have to make sure that we are solid in defending, and especially when you have so many problems in individual terms in the defense, you also have to protect your last row even a bit more. And I think, for example, in the last Brighton game against Brighton, so we turned back to dominate the games. We were nearly 2/3 of the game in possession. I think we played totally on the front foot, especially in the last 20 minutes, and at so many situations. Of course, I would have wished to be more clinical in order to use our chances. We were there with 5 or 6 strikes in the first 20 minutes. But no strike was really then on target anyhow, to be a bit more focused and precise in the finishing. Or in the second half, I think there were more crosses than in many other games during the season. And to anticipate, to smell the situation a bit, to be a bit more instinctive in order to anticipate, okay, where could the ball drop anyhow, to be then there and to be there with an easy tap in. This is a quality we lacked, at least in the last game. I think we developed our game much better in comparison to the Arsenal game, for example, but this last cutting edge, this final punch was missing, and this is something what we what we have to accept, though, we didn't show enough quality in order to make more out of our situations, and this was definitely a problem, because without scoring a goal, it's difficult to win a game. That's definitely for sure. Yeah.
That's true. Daniel, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. And then finally from BBC Norfolk, Phil Daly.
Hi, Daniel.
Phil, hi.
What's your sort of target then for the last 5 games? We know originally it was 5 wins from 9. Do you change? We know you sort of are not just focusing necessarily on points now. It might feel like, there's more to your job now than just getting the points, because that's probably gone.
Yes, but the target is always we play for points. So it's a target is also 5 out of 5. So without any doubt. So we will play further on each and every game in order to win the game. So it's not like we give any gifts away or even more young players or whatever. We want to finish as strong as possible and want to win if possible anyhow each and every game without any doubt. But it's not like to speak about, okay, come on, let's win 5 out of 5. It's more like, okay, what do we have to do performance-wise in order to be there? And what I want to see are 5 good performances, committed with desire, with bringing our game on the pitch with intensity, with pressing the opponent high, with being brave, and then we see what the outcome is. So for me, it's more like to be concentrated on the contents, to be concentrated on the contents, on the performance, and then we will see how many points we can get. But to be honest, so it's not like we have other targets than to be there than winning points. So it's more like in the end, we want to win each and every game.
There's been a lot of talk amongst the fans about ambition of the club, and obviously frustration because of the situation they see their club in. We know you've said several times that the odds were always against Norwich City staying up, and maybe they did need a miracle. What have the club got to do going forward to be in a position they don't need a miracle to stay in the Premier League?
To develop step by step, and it's more or less easy to speak about ambitions and come on, let's spend money. So I have this experience with many clubs, so I want to be respectful and don't want to speak about the names of the club. But we see right now many big clubs, and not in the Premier League, not in championships, so in the leagues below. And we've got the same problems in Germany. There are a few clubs who spend unbelievable money under big pressure. They need help from the government. It's still doubtful if they keep going, and especially in these times in the Corona situation. So of course, no one expected that this unbelievable poor pandemic would come anyhow. But even in these difficult times, especially as a self-funding club, we are prepared and financially unbelievably solid, and it's more like then to develop step by step. And of course, it would help if we can work on this move and stay in the Premier League in terms of money, in terms of developing this club more and more. I think it's important to have values, to stick to your values, to have principles, to stick to your principles, and then also to invest in the future of the club. That's what we have done. In order, we had to pay for some sins in the past. We had to invest in the infrastructure. We had to invest in the whole setup of the club. And I think in this terms, the club has done a fantastic job. Of course, life would be even easier if we would stay in the Premier League and can develop in the club more and more, and then more like after 1, 2, 3, 4 years, where we were able to stay in this league, then also to go for, okay, right now, come on, let's finish perhaps even in the top half of the table, and so to be able to be in a position that we can also spend one day 10-50 million pounds for a player, and to invest even a bit more into the team in order to develop the team. So that's also the plan. So it's not like we are unbelievable proud that we don't spend any money. So not at all. So it's more like I'm also unbelievably greedy and would like to spend more money in the squad to develop the squad. The same for Stuart, the same for our board, for our owners. But in order to be able to do this, it's more like we had to put the foundation in, and not to just because someone thinks, okay, come on, let's buy this 10-50 million pound striker, let's do this, it helps us anyhow. So we have even bigger clubs who have spent much more, and they are also in trouble. And let's see how this develops. So I think it was as hard it is for our supporters, also for me as a head coach, because I would like to work with top class signings and spending lots of money for individual quality. Of course, it makes the life then harder for our supporters, and it also for me as a head coach who is responsible for the sport side. But I think in terms of the foundation for the future, not perhaps for this season, but for the mid and the long term, it was totally the right decision to go this way. And it's more like it's not so much about talking and spending money. It's more like, come on, let's develop the club step by step. And then the target is also like, that one day we can also show ambition with spending money. So it's not like we are unbelievably proud that we don't spend money. So it's totally the other way around. And believe me, especially for me, so definitely. But I also have to accept the realities where we are, and I'm not willing to risk the club, the future of the club, by just fulfilling my wishes. And come on, another top class centre back, another top class midfielder, another top class striker. Of course, I would have taken them, and I would have pleased if it was possible. But I also accept that it was not possible in our situation. And I think the club, as hard as it is for me, has definitely taken the right decision. And it's more like, come on, let's go further on with this ways, with this values, with our principles, without spending money that we don't have, with being financially solid, with being reliable, so that also our partners know, okay, we will never be in a situation that the future of the club is a big risk. And anyhow, so I think that's quite important, and that's what we have to show.
And you're okay doing that sort of as long term as you ever get in football management, because you've had some great talents in the past. You mentioned him earlier, James Maddison. You didn't want to sell him, but you had to finance the rest of the club. And that time might come again with some of the other youngsters that are going to be worth a lot of money. And that's the only way you're sort of generating finance for the club.
Yes, but the situation was different. So if I'm honest, we didn't speak that much about the situation with James. But James, we sold him in a situation where we need the money to keep the club going. So the future of the club was due to if we are capable to sell James Maddison or not. And I knew this. Right now we have developed the club that we don't have to sell any of our young players. So not at all. So it's not like we're waiting for an offer and say, okay, right now, perfect. There are some millions. We take this and keep the club going. No, we don't need any money. So that's a good situation, and we can keep our young lads. Or if we decide then to sell them, it's also like, okay, we can take the money and invest it also in the team. That's a big difference, and that's, I think, our big advantage after promotion with the situation 2 years ago. For that, I think we are in a much better position. We have to develop the club further on already, and if we can go like this, then hopefully in 2 or 3 years we're also capable then to spend some money into bringing real quality or another level of quality in order to make our life easier, and that would also make my life easier. And that's definitely for sure. So I'm looking forward to be in this position. Yeah, during this season I had to accept that we are not there right now. So although we all wished we would be in a better situation, and of course it's easier to sometimes to work with top class players, but I made it also clear, so I'm not too addicted just to think about my selfish situation. I was not willing to force the club to bring the club into a situation when they just anyhow had to fulfill my selfish wishes and don't think about the future of the club. So for that, I'm totally back the decisions, and I accept this.
Top man. Thank you, Daniel. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Phil. Thank you, everyone.